being with us here on the stream at 11 a.m. It is January 12th, and I'm Elise Seedy. We'll get to some of the big headlines that we are on top of in just a moment. But first, we're going to start with the weather, do something a little bit different today, and that is because there's quite a bit to talk about as we take a live look here at Lake Lanier. So we're seeing some clouds in the sky, but blue skies for the most part. But my goodness, it is chilly out there. So let's get into what our meteorologists are saying about the forecast today. So they're saying it definitely feels like January, but want to mention this too. An EF1 tornado has been confirmed in Carroll County in the community of Lowell over the weekend. So now we're settled into to colder air, 20s in the morning, 40s, low 50s for highs today. So something for sure they're talking about, that EF1 tornado again confirmed in Carroll County in the community of Lowell. So looking ahead to what we can expect here on Wednesday. That's going to be another day to watch as details come more into focus. Looks like moisture-limited system will be swinging a few raindrops, rain showers into northwest Georgia Wednesday afternoon as the sun sets. Colder air comes in. A change to some snow showers could be expected in the evening up in the mountains. So I feel like there's been a lot of conversation around this, a lot of questions about the possibility of snow. So not something that we should see here in the metro, but up in the mountains could be a light accumulation. I want to stress light accumulation that could happen there, but otherwise beyond a few flurries briefly dipping into parts of the metro, no accumulation is expected for most of us. Temperatures will warm up into the 50s the afternoon beforehand, so things are warming up as you look there at the extended forecast, and then it looks like we are headed back down as we get a little bit further into the week. So again, you see it there on your screen, possibility of snow with a big fat question mark. Overall, forecast points to chilly week ahead, highlighted by cold mornings and cool afternoon. Rain chances for the week still pretty low, but again, that small chance of precipitation on Thursday. So yeah, I talked to our meteorologist Joanne Feldman and just asked if folks are already knocking down their doors, asking about this possibility of snow. Of course, the answer to that is yes. So be sure to stay tuned just for more on what we can expect as we get closer and closer and what the possibilities are there. But switching gears here and taking a look at some of the top stories that we're following for you here locally. This is a really sad one. It's a fire investigation out of Lilburn. So a fire there on Sunday evening turned deadly after a man went back into a burning home in an attempt to rescue the family dog. Just a terrible, terrible situation here. Gwinnett County firefighters got called out around 6:20 last night at a two-story home that's on Sandra Drive, and crews found heavy fire in the garage in the main living area. They say it was spreading to the attic as they pulled up. They were able to rescue one man from the entryway. He was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. So investigators are saying that actually two people were home at the time. A neighbor helped one occupant get out to safety, but her son went back in to save the family dog, or try to do that, and then was overcome by smoke. And here's a really terrible part in all of this, which also comes as a reminder from fire investigators. They say that no smoke alarms were active in the home, which, you have to wonder if that could have ended up saving some lives. Two adults were displaced. Red Cross was called in to assist with this. But the cause of the fire here in Lilburn still under investigation, and a police officer had to be treated for minor injuries there at the scene. So just a really sad situation there. That house fire in Lilburn claimed a man's life. Now to that shooting in East Point. A MARTA station injured 3 people. That's according to transit officials. Here's what we know about it. The shooting happened at about 1:30 as the station located near Highway 29 and Main Street. Police are saying the shooting happened in the bus loop area right outside the station Sunday afternoon. MARTA officials say that a man was shot and 2 others, a man and a woman, were grazed by a bullet. The victims were checked out at the scene, but we still haven't heard today how they're doing. Again, 1 shot, 2 grazed by a bullet. So investigators have not identified a motive. They also haven't released any kind of description on that shooter just yet. So MARTA police are looking into this, and we'll be sure to keep you updated as soon as we learn more about the identity of the shooter and how those folks are doing today. Well, a high-speed New Year's Eve chase ended with an arrest after a citizen took matters into their own hands. This happened on Interstate 20. Police say 32-year-old David Gage Lindsay was driving recklessly, speeding over 100 miles per hour, ended up hitting the median there and going the wrong way. So a really terrible situation, high speed, a factor in all of this. James Humphrey was traveling with his mother and young daughter and decided to try to do something to help others, stepped in to try to help. This happened near the Villa Rica Carrollton exit. So he used his truck to trap Lindsay's car against a guardrail, leaving just a few feet of space. And by all accounts, officers are saying this most likely ended up saving some lives. Lindsay ended up hitting the back of the truck, and police were quickly able to take him into custody. So authorities, here's what they're saying about it. They're saying that under normal circumstances, citizens should not try to intervene, especially in this way. But they say that in this case, Humphrey's quick thinking likely prevented serious harm. So by all accounts, a hero, what could have been a really terrible situation that happened at the Villa Rica Carrollton exit. So certainly a hero. Here's a story you've probably seen here and on social media as well. It's got a lot of folks talking. It's a deadly shooting that happened outside of a funeral home. So just awful. Ina Chambers was, by all accounts, a woman who treated everyone like family, is what family and friends are saying. They're calling her a vibrant soul. Her brother described her as the life of the party and just really the glue in her community. So here's what happened. She was looking after family when her life was cut short in a burst of, quote, senseless and cowardly violence. So Chambers was 55 years old, and she'd taken her granddaughter, her grandchildren to the viewing of another relative. This happened at Gus Thornhill Funeral Home. So family members say that she was standing near the entrance of the property when a drive-by shooting began, hitting her and another woman. So this happened on Friday afternoon. Officials held a press conference just to talk about the details of this terrible, terrible situation. So let's listen in to what they had to say about it.
But we don't want this type of violence in our community. That's why the community has gotten together with the officials here at East Point to let you know we want to find the people who are responsible for this horrible death. So right now we'll have the mayor of East Point come up, followed by the police chief, Chief Buchanan, to give words about the city's involvement in solving this heinous crime.
Good afternoon. As Councilman Joshua Butler mentioned, Ms. Chambers lost her life on yesterday, and our condolences and our prayers and our support is with the family. We ask that the community step up. If they see something, please say something so that our police department can bring justice to the family. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Sean Buchanan. I'm the Chief of Police for the City of East Point Police Department. I worked here about 27, almost 30 years. This funeral home is named Gus Thornhill Jr. Funeral Home. It's named after Major Gus Thornhill of the East Point Police Department. When he retired, he opened up his funeral home. He's been very proactive in this community. He's assisted several residents without funds to bury their family members. Since the inception of this funeral home, we have never had a shooting at this funeral home. Since I've been policing, I've never seen such cowardly acts of violence. And this was a coward who did this. This is a sacred place and a vulnerable opportunity to attack someone. They're suffering, they're trying to bury their loved ones, and for someone to take that opportunity away from them and destroy their peace is cowardly. We will find these individuals, I can assure you that, and we will bring them to justice. That's my word.
But we don't want this type of violence.
The detectives are currently reviewing neighborhood security footage and just investigating if this drive-by was connected to another shooting that happened in the same block earlier that day. So we'll be awaiting what comes of their investigation with that. Well, meanwhile, Georgia lawmakers have returned to the state capitol this morning with a really heavy focus on affordability of life in the Peach State. This is what they're saying, and also setting the stage for a competitive 2026 legislative session defined by competing tax relief proposals and what they're calling political posturing. So here's a little bit more about what they're saying. So Georgia Gang panelists Theron Johnson and Brian Robinson have said to expect tax relief to be the primary battleground background as leadership is in the House and the Senate are looking to ease the financial burden on all the folks here in Georgia, families in Georgia, including families. So they've just gavelled in. Let's listen into what's happening there on the floor.
Well, good morning. Happy New Year to you. It's good. No, it's great to see you all in this beautiful House chamber. What do you think? We'll talk about that in a few minutes. We'll recognize some folks who have been critical to this mission of refurbishing this chamber to its grandeur. A little bit of improvements in the lighting. Really looks good. Some good old Georgia carpet. Looks great. So we'll be talking about some of that. But first, we need to welcome 3 new members of this House family. Representative Akbar Ali from District 106. Representative Ali represents parts of Gwinnett County. Welcome. We look forward to working with you. Representative Eric Gessler, House District 121, Oconee County. Welcome, Eric. Representative Bill Fincher, House District 23, Cherokee County. Welcome, new members. We look forward to working with you, and we'll certainly be helpful in any way we can. Thank you. Now we're going to have the morning roll call. Since y'all are officially recognized, all members present will please vote green to signify their presence in the chamber. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machines?
All right, you see some movement there on the floor. Georgia's 2026 legislative session is a go as of today. Should be a very eventful season at that. Well, switching gears now and getting to the trial of Adrian Gonzalez. He is the former Uvalde police officer who is accused of holding up law enforcement's response to that school shooting at Robb Elementary. And this is a trial that's underway right now. So the trial heads into a second week today, and prosecutors are continuing their case that he did nothing in those early moments to stop the gunman. So let's listen in together.
In an incident like this, because we know this is an active shooter, right?
Correct.
Mr. Turner asked you if an officer should just take their time leisurely or should they immediately react. Right? Remember that?
Yes, sir.
And of course you said time is of the essence. You must immediately react. Right?
Correct.
But you'd agree with me that if hypothetically I were to say to you, because we're outside of it and you're not a police officer, right? And I'd say, I've just seen a man shooting his weapon, running at that school, right? And you saw someone running at that school and you chased them down, that would be taking immediate action, right?
Correct.
So if someone did that, they would be taking immediate action.
Correct.
Right, okay. And then we spoke about some tactical movement, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, the prosecutor spoke about tactical movement. Is that right, Coach?
Yes, sir.
Because you went to the scene, well, you spent 3 days there, right?
Yes, sir.
At Robb Elementary. And what incidents did you have?
3.
So this first one's number 3?
Yes.
Yes, please. I'm going to show you maybe what's been marked. So just marked as defence 3, 4, and 5. You recognise this, right?
They're all outside photographs of evidentiary items.
Yeah, they're a very accurate depiction of the scene as you saw it on those days.
Correct.
Judge, defence offers, and we'll show it to opposing counsel first, what's been marked as defence 3, 4 and 5 insurance. No objection there.
They're admitted.
Judge, give 1 second so we can display them on the screen. May we publish, Ron?
Yes.
Thank you. We'll just try and sort out the detail.
So again, this trial heads into its second week today. And just a little bit of background on who we're talking about here. Adrian Gonzalez, 52 years old, a former Uvalde schools police officer. And again, he was among one of the first to arrive on the scene when news of the gunman at the school was able to make it through. So Gonzalez has pleaded not guilty to 29 counts of child abandonment or endangerment. That May 24th, 2022 attack is one of the worst school shootings in U.S. history. You'll remember it left 19 students and 2 teachers dead. Well, a major report of criminal investigation by the Department of Justice into the Federal Reserve is causing the chief head to have to respond to some of those charges. So here's what we know about this. The New York Times is reporting Friday the U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington is focusing on the central bank's renovation of its Washington headquarters. So the office is looking at whether Fed Chair Jerome Powell lied to Congress about the scope of the project. It involves the Federal Reserve's $2.5 billion in expenditures to renovate 2 office buildings there in D.C. So President Trump and Powell have clashed over many things, most notably now the project's cost. So on Sunday, Powell responded. He claimed the DOJ investigation is politically based over his past refusal to lower interest rates at President Trump's insistence. So also adds Federal Reserve independence is setting monetary policy apart from any one president. So here again is Fed Chair Jerome Powell.
I have deep respect for the rule of law and for accountability in our democracy. No one, certainly not the chair of the Federal Reserve, is above the law. But this unprecedented action should be seen in the broader context of the administration's threats and ongoing pressure. This new threat is not about my testimony last June or about the renovation of the Federal Reserve buildings. It is not about Congress's oversight role. The Fed, through testimony and other public disclosures, made every effort to keep Congress informed about the renovation project. Those are pretexts. The threat of criminal charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve setting interest rates based on our best assessment of what will serve the public, rather than following the preferences of the president. This is about whether the Fed will be able to continue to set interest rates based on evidence and economic conditions, or whether instead monetary policy will be directed by political pressure or intimidation. Public service sometimes requires standing firm in the face of threats. I will continue to do the job the Senate confirmed me to do, with integrity and a commitment to serving the American people. Thank you.
Jerome Powell speaking there. So the president appointed Powell as Federal Reserve Chairman back in 2017. It's 11:19 now, and up next we're talking about artificial intelligence and how it's making its way into the waiting room at your doctor's office. So we'll tell you how it's doing that next. Welcome back, folks. Let's get you some AI news this block. Elon Musk's XAI is under fire right now for failing to rein in, quote, digital undressing. So here's what's going on with all of this. Malaysia and Indonesia have become the first countries to block Grok. That's what we're talking about here, the AI chatbot developed by Elon Musk's XAI. So authorities are saying the tool was being misused to create sexually explicit and non-consensual images, including content involving women and children. So Southeast Asian restrictions following global concerns about generative AI tools that can produce realistic images, sound, also text, while safeguards are failing to prevent abuse. So Indonesia temporarily blocked Grok actually on Saturday. This is following an order from Malaysia citing the need to protect women, children, and just the broader community is what they're saying about it. So Grok launched back in 2023 on Musk's social media platform X, and recently added an image generator with an adult spicy mode. Critics are saying that recent restrictions limiting image creation of paying users don't fully address the risks that could be in store for deep fakes and manipulated content. So all of this is coming amid mounting scrutiny of Grok elsewhere. There are several countries that are now raising the alarm on the potential capabilities of this, including the European Union. Britain is on that list, India and France as well. So we're going to stay on the topic now of AI, but talk about it in a different way. Artificial intelligence moving into the exam room and rapidly reshaping how doctors are documenting care and interacting with their patients. So here to talk to us just a little bit more about this is Dr. Stephen Goldberg, Chief Medical Officer of diagnostic health giant Health Track HR. Health Track RX. I'm sorry about that, to get into this today. So, Dr. Goldberg, thanks for being on with us. Good morning.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
Of course. So let's start with it. I mean, how is AI currently being used in exam rooms by doctors?
Well, let's begin with the cautions in light of the story you just shared. So when we're talking about AI in healthcare, we've got to be really careful. So there are very strong rules around privacy, data stewardship, accuracy, subgroup fairness and bias, disclosure and transparency. So it's a very carefully implemented circumstance. Now, that said, it's an exciting time. And my own view is that AI in healthcare is going to make things much better for patients, clinicians, and the system overall. I think it's going to change visits from being primarily information exchange to one in which the provider and the patient are sharing decision-making and then action. So it'll be a much more productive encounter. A lot of the work setting up for that will be taken care of outside. And we're finding that consumers are very excited about using healthcare AI tools. About 60% are checking information on the internet, and clinicians, about 2/3 are using AI in their practice. So there's been a lot of advance and caution. So I'm very excited and optimistic.
Yeah, give us a little bit more detail, though, into what exactly they're doing with this. I think the concept of AI for many of us is still something we're trying to grasp, trying to understand, but trying to see tangible ways that they're using this. Can you give us some more examples of that?
Sure. Well, let's start. When you first get to the office, it's rare now to be filling things out on paper. So there should be tools like tablets where the questions are presented, and there are rules that take you through different questions based on your answer. Also, in terms of scheduling, things should be managed in real time. You probably see signs about urgent care wait times, ER wait times. That requires continuing analysis. Then when you go in with your clinician, there's just so much data there. Tools are helping clinicians figure out the top things to address and top things that have not been addressed, such as immunizations or lab screening. That's all taking place right now, and it's very exciting.
Certainly so. I mean, you want to make sure, though, that this is a tool and not, a replacement, I guess we should say, for clinical judgment. So are there ways that doctors can strike that balance between the two?
Sure, absolutely. I've had 30 years of practice and seen lots of different clinical scenarios, and many clinicians have. So we have our clinical judgment, and so that's the overall context. within which we look at information and data. What's helpful for me, though, if I have a new patient coming in with a rare condition like a very difficult cancer, I can now very quickly check the internet and get evidence-based information, for example, from open evidence, that allows me to give them very important guidance during a very difficult time. But again, the overall context I have about seeing thousands of patients helps shape that. And I think it's a really good balance.
Yeah. Bottom line here, too, is everyone doesn't trust AI. So are there, certain ways that doctors should be explaining what is happening with AI to their patients so that they can understand and feel, like they have a say in the process?
Absolutely. And there's ongoing concern about accuracy and subgroup fairness and bias in the information you get back from AI tools. And also, every once in a while, the tool doesn't have a good answer and it hallucinates, makes stuff up. So as a clinician, you've got to be really careful about the information and study it before you engage the patient on what you found.
Yeah, certainly so. Sounds cutting edge and like something that we will be seeing more and more everywhere and in the exam room at our doctor's office as well. So Dr. Stephen Goldberg, Chief Medical Officer at HealthTrek RS, thank you so much for telling us about this. Very, very interesting.
A pleasure to be with you. Have a great day.
You too. Take care. Well, our time is 11:28 on this Monday morning, and when we come back, we've got a live report from Minnesota. Of course, protests are continuing there over the woman killed by an ICE agent, so we'll have the latest on that. Stick around. Welcome back, folks. 11:30 now, and protests continue around the country in the wake of Renee Good's death. So this comes as local leaders in Minnesota and members of the Trump administration are arguing right now over whether the shooting of her by an ICE agent was justified. 37 years old. They're saying that she interfered with immigration and custom enforcement operations. So on the ground there in Minneapolis, we have Fox's Caroline Elliott just joining us with what is happening right now. So Caroline, thank you so much for being with us today. Tell us what you're seeing.
Yeah, Elise. Well, right now we're outside the federal building here, just outside of Minneapolis, where a protest is happening right behind us. Now, for context, this is probably one of the smaller protests we've seen in the last week or so here. But we will tell you, overnight, things looked a lot different just outside this building. We were told that police had to deploy tear gas and pepper balls into a crowd of protesters. We also saw multiple arrests happen as well. So some of these protests have been chaotic at times. Others have been pretty peaceful, though. But we have seen these protests really all around the country. Again, not just here in Minnesota, but we've seen them in Atlanta, New York, Houston, Austin, Boston, really all over the country, with people calling for more accountability after this shooting. Elise.
Yeah, so this is Monday. What about over the weekend? I'm guessing that it was a hotbed then as well for protests, Caroline.
Exactly, Elise. Like we said, we have seen protests really all around the country as a lot of people are calling for more accountability, and they want to see more happen after this deadly shooting last week involving that ICE agent. We will tell you the main points of activity are right here at the federal building, but also at the scene, which is about 2 miles or so from here in Minneapolis. And what we're seeing there this morning is we're seeing BCA agents who are with the state going around and collecting their own evidence. We know that the FBI is taking the lead in the main investigation, but on the side, we're seeing also state officials going around asking neighbors if they saw anything, really trying to collect their own evidence after we've seen this back and forth between the state and the feds. Elise.
Caroline, give us an idea of what you're hearing from people. You know, we see the videos, we hear the sound bites, but from you being a reporter there on the ground, I mean, what's the message that you're getting from folks there in Minneapolis? You know, especially those who come out to have their voices heard.
Yeah, Elise. Well, tensions are very high. We have obviously seen that in videos over the last week, but here on the ground, actually just a couple minutes before this live shot, we really saw those protesters you can see behind us run up as an ICE agent. It looked like they were trying to pull someone over and just yelling at them, and really just on a megaphone dropping all kind of cuss words. And that's really what we've seen now for the last week. Just a lot of these clashes between federal agents here that are trying to do their job and protesters as well.
So, Caroline, we're also getting word that Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is saying that more federal agents will be sent to Minneapolis. So what have you heard about this? What do we know?
Yeah, so we're hearing from DHS Secretary Kristi Noem that they're going to send additional agents here. That announcement was made yesterday, and we were told that those agents will be arriving as early as today. And what the DHS Secretary was saying, that was in order for ICE agents and border agents here to be able to do their job, she said that they need more help here on the ground. Elise.
Fox's Caroline Elliott live for us there in Minneapolis. Caroline, thank you so much for painting the picture of what you're seeing and what's going on. We appreciate it. And like Caroline mentioned, this is something that we're seeing all across the country, these protests. You mentioned a few cities, but it's happening here in the Atlanta area as well. In fact, it was pretty busy over the weekend with folks getting out and just sharing their thoughts on it, protesting, having their voices heard on the killing of Renee Good. So our Mark Teichner has more on this developing story. He's joining us from the 17th Street Bridge. That's where one of those protests took place.
Well, these protesters say they are going to keep up the effort until they see that ICE agent involved in that deadly shooting criminally charged, and they see a reduction in the Trump administration's immigration enforcement policy. Sunday afternoon, protesters make noise and hold signs on Midtown Atlanta's 17th Street Bridge that can be seen by drivers on the highway below. They're upset over the Minnesota killing of Renee Nicole Good at the hands of an ICE agent, as well as the Trump administration's immigration enforcement and foreign policy.
I think the unrest we're seeing right now, it's swelling all over the United States. We see protests not just here in Atlanta. This movement is only growing.
Hours later, another large group of protesters marched in downtown Atlanta, going about a mile from Hurt Park on the Georgia State campus to the Atlanta ICE field office.
It's unbelievable what's happening today, and it needs to stop. And I'm encouraged so many people showed up today at the last moment.
Anti-ICE protests in both Marietta and Lawrenceville also drew dozens of people.
We need to take a stand. We need to stand up for the principles this country was founded on.
Protesters hope Good's death, which Trump officials call an act of self-defense, brings awareness to what they believe is an out-of-control ICE enforcement policy that makes the country less safe.
This seems like a galvanizing point because it's so obvious because there's all this video of that this was a shooting of an unarmed person who was simply driving away.
Do want to point out that at least for now, all of the protests, those that took place yesterday, as well as the days leading up to it, so far have been peaceful and no arrests have taken place here in the metro area. Reporting from the 17th Street Bridge, I'm Mark Teichner, Fox 5 News.
All right, let's turn to some international and national headlines that we are following for you today. President Trump is delivering a really strong warning to Iran as massive protests are sweeping the country and its government cracks down on demonstrators. He says Iranian leaders are starting to cross U.S. red lines with reports of rising civilian deaths there in the country. He warned that any attack on American interests would be met with, quote, strong, very strong options. Those are the president's words, including overwhelming force if necessary. So Iran's parliament speaker has threatened to strike U.S. military bases if ships in the U.S. take action in defense of protesters. It's a move the president says that he is prepared to counter. At the same time, the president says that Iran has reached out for negotiations with the United States and that a meeting is being set up, though he cautioned action might come before those talks. So at the same time, protests in Iran have grown to some of the largest that they've seen there in that country for years. There are reports of hundreds, if not thousands, hundreds of deaths and thousands of arrests that have been made amid widespread unrest. So President Trump's foreign policy hasn't stopped there. He's also posted on Truth Social that there will be no more oil or money going to Cuba, urging Cuban leaders to make a deal before the president says it's too late. And then following the arrest of Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro, Democrats and some Republicans are expressing concern about expanding U.S. entanglements overseas and also criticism that America shouldn't be the, quote, policeman for the world. So very much a developing story with that one. Here's one you might have seen. Super shocking video that's been on social media. Showed a U-Haul truck driving through a crowd of demonstrators in Los Angeles' Westwood area. So LAPD responded to a call of a U-Haul truck crashing into a crowd of people that had gathered there to protest. They were marching near the federal building. This was about 3:30 on Sunday. So in the video that was shared on social media, you can see the U-Haul truck plowing through that crowd. It looks like at this point it had been stopped at the point of the video, and they're using a flag to break the windows there of that U-Haul truck. People were running, trying to catch the truck, and what we're seeing there right now. So no surprise that U-Haul truck driver apparently hurt in all of this. LAPD announced later that driver had been arrested. So the backstory with this, according to event organizers, the demonstration was staged in Westwood as renewed calls for political change in Iran, leading up to a scheduled Sunday demonstration. Organizers say the rallies were to give Iranian Americans the chance just to speak up and have their voices heard on what's happening there in their home country. So what we don't know about what happened with all of that is the motive of that U-Haul truck driver. I mean, certainly looked intentional, but nothing on that has been released just yet, the reason why he did this. And officials haven't released the name of that driver just yet, but again, that driver apparently had been detained. Well, the Smithsonian has altered the presidential exhibit for Donald Trump ahead of the nation's 250th birthday celebration. So references to his two impeachments, including, quote, inciting insurrection, January 6th of 2021, have been removed from his display at the National Portrait Gallery in Washington, D.C. So the original exhibit included a picture of President Trump during his first term and just a text that summarized some of his accomplishments, and they've both been replaced. And in its place, place. A new black and white photo shows President Trump at the Resolute desk with no accompanying wall text. So a pretty big change that was made there. White House hasn't said whether it requested the change or just what the reason was behind this. Notably, references to impeachments for other former presidents, Andrew Johnson and Bill Clinton, remain on their exhibit. So again, some big changes that happened there at the Portrait Gallery. We'll let you know if we learn any more about the reason behind those big changes. Well, here's one you definitely want to check your refrigerator if you have purchased this lately. It's a recall of certain cheese products. FDA is saying that they're produced by Embryola Company, and they've been upgraded to the highest danger after testing positive for Listeria. So really serious that you know about this. FDA is saying that 8 cheese products have been impacted in this recall. They were distributed nationwide between, looks like November 3rd and November 20th. So they include the Locatelli grated Pecorino Romano 4-ounce and 8-ounce plastic cups with lids, 12 units per case, and also the Locatelli grated Pecorino Romano 5 and 10 pound plastic bags. So an assortment, it looks like, under this recall. So it was initially issued by the FDA in November, upgraded to a Class 1 recall on Thursday, and that means the product may cause serious health consequences or deaths. Customers urged to throw out the products and return them for a refund. So we went through quite a few of these varieties. If you're concerned that you may have one of these, I encourage you to go to our website, fox5atlanta.com, find this story and look at the list of those cheeses that are a part of this recall. So this next story is for all of you gamers out there. We are talking about GameStop, dominant brick and mortar video game retailer at one point, and they're closing hundreds of stores all around the country in 2026. There's also been some closures of GameStops here in the metro area as well. So the reports are saying there's about 400 locations that are planning to close in 42 states this month alone. So the landscape for GameStop is about to look much, much different in the weeks ahead. So this follows nearly 600 store shutdowns in fiscal year 2024. And GameStop is just struggling right now to try to compete with digital game downloads and online retailers, and also declining mall traffic because so many of these GameStop locations are inside of malls. So the company also plans to scale back most of its international operations as well. That includes in Canada, in Germany, in Italy, and in France as well. They faced quite a few financial challenges as of late, becoming a household name. You'll remember this from back in 2021 as most famous meme stocks in market history. So again, some very big changes coming to GameStop's. A good chance if there's one near you that store could be closing. All right, now to a big Chick-fil-A story. This is interesting. The fast food chain is launching a new promotion, giving customers a golden opportunity to win. How about this? Free food for a year. That'd be nice. So fans who unwrap looks like if they unwrap a golden cup, which we just showed in the video there, just at that, if you end up with one of those, you'll secure yourself 52 free entrees, one for each week of the year. So it's all a part of the chain's classic cups, which come in, it looks like 4 different designs, released January 5th. And you will have a chance at some free food. Customers have to purchase the classic cup in order for your chance at that. All of them are wrapped, so it's not like you can see ahead of time. Customers won't be able to tell if they won one of those right away. But they say this is a contest that'll run through July 1st, so you have plenty of time to try your hand at getting one of those golden cups. But it's all to commemorate the chain's 80th anniversary. So good luck if you're going through, if you're buying one of those cups. Maybe you'll end up with one of those gold cups in your hand. Well, now to some really interesting news from Mattel. We're talking about a new Barbie that they have. In fact, Mattel has just introduced an autistic Barbie today. It's the latest addition to its line, celebrating what they call diversity and inclusion. So it joins others who have Down syndrome, blindness, vitiligo, hearing loss, and more. And developed over 18 months, they say, with the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network. And they say that it reflects some of the ways that autistic people see the world. It's also reflected in some of the features that the doll has. So they say the features include eyes that shift slightly to the side, articulated elbows and wrists to represent stimming, and then clothing, they say, designed to reflect sensory preferences. Sounds like they really put a lot of thought into what this doll will look like. It's available online at Target stores for about $12, and Walmart is expected to start carrying this doll as well in March. So the CDC, this is interesting, says about 1 in 38 8-year-old children in the U.S. are autistic. They say boys are diagnosed more than 3 times as often as girls. So a new addition to the Barbie lineup. Well, coming up on the stream, a MARTA bus is being transformed into a mobile art experience. So we're going to give you a look at that next. Right. Welcome back, everyone. Thriving Together Atlanta is about to unveil a mobile art experience, is what they're calling it. They're transforming a MARTA bus into an immersive space for art, for healing, and for community connection. So our Chris Rosenthal is joining us now just to show us what this is all about. Hey, Chris.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, I'm over here outside the King Center where they have the bus set up, and the festivities just got underway. They actually have singer Bria Ane right now singing. Let's listen in just for a moment to her. In spite of the pain, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And yeah, they have people showing up here to listen to the music, but of course, one of the big draws here is this MARTA bus, this mobile art exhibit, if you will. We've got it all decorated up. They call it sort of a Zen space where you can come in here and just sort of chill out and listen to some of Martin Luther King's speeches, as well as Coretta Scott King. So, you know, it's a chance to really, ahead of Martin Luther King Day, really come over and celebrate Martin Luther King. They're going to have art, you know, art and music out here throughout the day up until about 3 o'clock, as well as having guided meditation sessions. And I have Faith Carmichael here. She's with Next. Tell me, Faith, tell me a little bit about what this event is about.
So this is the Thriving Together mobile art experience. We're with Next, and we are part of the Thriving Together family that is really about creating artistic opportunities to speak about health and wellness in our communities. This is our launch, and we're here with amazing artists, with amazing healing practitioners, and with some of our amazing partners like National Black Arts Festival, City of Atlanta, the King Center, just to really talk about the power of health in our communities. Yeah.
Faith, thank you so much. Yeah, I know you guys will be out here until 3 o'clock today, and then another event on Friday. Where will that be at?
So Friday will be at the National Center for Civil and Human Rights from 9 to 12. Yeah.
Gotcha. And then some more events into next week as well. So, yeah, come on out. We're at the King Center today for some music and on the bus and some meditation.
Yeah, what a great message and what a beautiful voice she has. Certainly enjoyed that. Chris, thank you so much for the look at that MARTA bus as well. All right, our time is 11:51, and now we are talking about Team Rubicon. It's a leading humanitarian aid organization, and it's calling on Americans to turn their New Year's resolutions into action. So to get out there and do something. In fact, they're looking for 5,000 volunteers who want to serve communities in need. So joining us to talk a bit more about this is Team Rubicon CEO. We have Jim Brooks joining us now. So Jim, thank you so much for being with us today.
Amazing to be with you this morning. Thank you so much.
Yeah, let's dive into this. I mean, what an organization, what a message that you're spreading as well. Let's start by those who maybe aren't familiar with Team Rubicon. What can you tell us about it, and when did it begin?
Yeah, so Team Rubicon is a veteran-led humanitarian organization serving communities before, during, and after disasters. And we were founded in 2010 when on January 13th, 8 ordinary humans, veterans, first responders took action and deployed to Haiti in the aftermath of an earthquake. And ever since then, we've grown to a disaster force numbering more than 200,000 across the United States, really making sure we're there to respond anywhere it's needed at a moment's notice.
Yeah, don't have to go far to hear of the impact that Team Rubicon has made in so many different communities. So you got on a gray shirt yourself. It's kind of what you guys are known for. So tell us about the work that they do.
Yeah, so gray shirt is what we call our volunteer base. Everyone's a gray shirt first and foremost. And we have a role for everyone, whether you're able to support logistics and mobilization and communication from behind the scenes, or whether you're ready to grab your bag and deploy to the front line of a disaster. We need everyone. We provide all the training. You just bring your time, your energy, and your passion for helping others when they need it most.
Yeah, so let's talk about Go Day. Go Day is tomorrow. So what do we need to know about this, Jim?
So January 13th is the anniversary of when our first 8 went on the first operation in Haiti in 2010. But every year we use it to commemorate that call to service and that willingness of individuals to volunteer their time and take action to help others. And every year that's necessary to continue to bring more. And the best thing to do for us is to go to go.day and learn more about Team Rubicon and sign up and register to become a gray shirt.
What do you want to say to those who say, you know, maybe they don't have the skills that are needed, maybe it's not something that they've done before in the past? I heard you say something about you providing the training for this, so I'm going to guess I know what you'll say to those who have a little bit of doubts, but this sounds like something, regardless of the experience that you have, you can join and be a part of and make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. So everyone can step into the arena with us and have a choice in how they're volunteering their time, whether it's a few hours for a community service project or getting out there for a week or even longer to the front lines of a disaster. We need everyone, but we make sure that everyone who deploys on behalf of Team Rubicon has the skills and has the training necessary to be successful in the role that they take on. And so when I say it takes a village, it takes a little bit of everyone. Just take those first steps of stepping in and joining our mission, and you'll see how easy it becomes from there.
I'm going to guess you feel like what you do is very rewarding, Jim, but I want to hear it from you. I mean, what is it that you love so much about what you do with Team Rubicon?
Yeah, I mean, this is the opportunity to have just perfect clarity and mission and purpose. We help others completely anonymously when it matters most. And there's sort of no greater sense of camaraderie, of teamwork, of that can-do spirit of getting out there and getting after it when it really matters. And I think that that is something that's really necessary in all of our lives, is to have that sense of purpose and clarity when we go out there and do good things.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so for those watching right now, this really is the perfect time to get involved with Go Day being tomorrow. So Jim, tell us where we can go again, just to learn more about Team Rubicon and to potentially sign on to be a part of the team.
So really simple, go to go.day. That'll link you back to our website where you'll get more information on Team Rubicon. You can register to become a gray shirt, and you can choose how best to get involved, whether that's volunteering or donating to our mission to keep it going forward. There's a role for everyone. So I hope we can reach our 5,000 new gray shirts this month in January.
Okay, and what do you want to say to those who are already part of Team Rubicon? Maybe they're already a gray shirt doing amazing work all around the country. What's your message for them?
Yep. Thank you. First and foremost, you're the fuel that drives our success. You're the reason why we can be everywhere and do so much good. So gray shirts, thank you very much for everything you do.
All right. So, Jim, thank you so much for being on with us today. And hopefully you guys are able to reach that goal of 5,000 volunteers tomorrow on Go Day. So Team Rubicon CEO Jim Brooks hanging with us today. Jim, thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Of course. And thank you so much.
Number 40, Roland McIntyre. Whoa. Roland is rocking his stuff right there.
That's a speed mullet. The slick back on the sides there, the buzz on the side. Oh, yeah.
Roland looks like